Unlock the potential of your workflow with Miriam Ortiz y Pino, the simplicity expert. She's the money breakthrough business coach. In this Lead Machine Growth Show episode, she reveals how integrating organization, productivity, and a positive money mindset, which is an awesome combination, can transform your approach to work and life. She shares her philosophy that well-designed systems can create freedom, adapting as your personal and professional needs evolve. Learn how to set up systems that position you for success and make daily tasks more manageable and effective. Tune in, and Miriam shares actionable strategies to overcome common productivity blocks, enhance business profitability, and maintain motivation in any project. So don't miss this episode and her expert tips on crafting an environment where control and freedom go hand in hand. Wow, I couldn't have written that better myself.
This episode of the Lead Machine Growth Show is brought to you by Lead Machine, the step-by-step, tech-easy system for getting leads online. Are you struggling to get leads from your lead magnet? Are you tired of seeing low conversion rates and losing potential customers? It's time to revive your lead magnet and start attracting more leads. Download our free report, 10 Deadly Lead Magnet Mistakes That Are Costing You Leads, and learn how to create a high-converting lead magnet that engages your audience and drives conversions. Don't let common mistakes hold you back any longer. Revive your lead magnet today and download your free report at www.getleadmachine.com/deadly. Welcome to the Lead Machine Growth Show, where you will discover how to tackle your tech, master your message, and design your dream. Paul Guyan, the mastermind behind the Lead Machine, introduces you to trailblazers who inspire you to implement life-changing solutions and systems you can model to nurture your leads and get your offers seen by your ideal clients who will invest in themselves and you. Be sure you visit our website at www.leadmachinegrowthshow.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now, tune in and get ready to transform your vision into reality.
So welcome to the Lead Machine Growth Show. I'm Paul Guyan, your host, lead machine coach, and founder of the Lead Machine Mastermind. I'm dedicated to helping you tackle your tech, master your message, and design your dream. So whether you're just starting out or taking your business to the next level, let's get this conversation started and turn your dreams into reality. So Miriam is a simplicity expert and money breakthrough business coach, entrepreneur, writer, and creator of the Streamline solution. She works with entrepreneurs and other busy and creative people to craft environments where you connect the control you crave and the freedom you desire while building wealth through organization. She holds certificates in workplace productivity, residential organizing, courageous coaching methods, fire starter sessions, sacred money archetypes, and money breakthrough business coaching. And she's a Golden Circle member of the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals. That's the NAPO. And a member of the Environmentally Conscious Organizers Study Group, an NAPO ambassador and an instructor for NAPO University. So Miriam, welcome so much. I appreciate you being on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
So how did you get all started with this productivity and maybe not go back that far, but
well, I was born no.
First the earth cooled and then the dinosaurs came. Yeah.
Really, I came to organizing and productivity because I was so busy in high school. I was in tons of extracurricular activities. I was working, I was going to school, all of it, and then all the way through college. And I realized I couldn't do everything I wanted to do unless I got really efficient and effective at it. And so I kind of started learning about productivity there, but I had already been helping my family with systems for decluttering and keeping the house in order, mostly because both my parents worked and it was all crazy. And so all the kids could do all the things. We needed it to be easy. So my mom would implement a system and then I would tweak it so that it actually worked.
Is that what you tell her?
Yeah, she knows.
Yeah.
But then I decided I couldn't work for other people anymore and I needed to start my own business. So I thought, well, my primary skill is organization. Let me run with that. And I did that. And most of my clients turned out to be small business owners and entrepreneurs. So I would be working in their house, but it would bleed over into their business stuff. And I realized that people don't all think like me. So I had to get better at communicating the process to people that think differently. So the coaching came in.
Yeah.
And then running my own business, running into my own limiting money beliefs and having to figure out how that fit into running a business and staying organized around money. So I learned that too, and then combined them all because I think it's all actually the same problem. And once I figured that out, it made everything easier. It's a way to leverage your time and effort to get the result across the board.
So what usually gets in the way? Is it systems or is it something else?
No, it's always mindset. It's
Uh,
usually not knowing what you want. People don't take that
really?
look at what do you really want? Well, I want to be successful or I want to help people. Well, what does that mean to you? Not what other people define it as. So figuring out what you really want and then aligning the things in your life and the activities you participate in, the behaviors you do to actually help get you there instead of working on busy work
Yeah,
and
that's
things other people said.
yeah. What other people think your life should be like. Yeah,
Right.
I'm like the mother-in-law or the father-in-law.
Yeah, your
Can't,
parents, your kids, a coach, someone on
yeah.
Instagram, whatever it is. It doesn't have to look like their life, but what's going to be satisfying and fulfilling for you.
Do you find that most successful people have figured that out?
Yes, or are figuring it out. Like
Figured it
they are
out.
curious enough to pursue that line of questioning for themselves. And I think there are a lot of people that are almost successful, but they refuse to do that deeper look at themselves. And so it doesn't ever quite take off.
I find that, with people clients that I work in my private mastermind group and with just throughout my career that people they don't want to change and they
Mhm.
especially when I've worked with a lot of startups,
Mhm.
bootstrapping startups and had my own as well. And the thing that they comes out of their mouth, and it's not really true, but it comes out of their mouth is that it would just be easier for me to just do this than to tell someone how to do it. Because no,
Yeah.
they're afraid that it won't get done the way that they want. Is that what you find too? And how do you overcome that?
Yeah. So it's, well, what is your secret sauce? What are you bringing to the table that someone else can't? And if you want, especially in the startup world, if you want to be a startup and you want to really scale and get the big money, you have to be able to delegate and you have to be able to train your team and create that culture where everybody thrives. You cannot be a control freak. You have to let go. And that doesn't mean you don't get to structure it and create the framework for how you'd like it to be done, but you have to take the time to do that or it won't, um, it'll stall out because you can't do everything. There's no way.
Yeah, and as you grow, especially with a startup, or really in any business, as you grow, you're constantly paying for sins of the past. And
Yes.
that's what I like to call it because you have that. Well, it would be easier if I just do it because so I wouldn't, I still have control and no one can do it the way I can do it. But then you hit a brick wall. You hit
Mhm.
that wall and you can't get past it. Just like you said when you started your business, you couldn't get any further. You have to do something about it. So what are some things that you talked about systemization? So how do you go about that? I know how I do it. I just want to know what your process is.
So I actually have 5 essential business systems since we're talking business. I have home ones too, but
I bet you do. I
um
bet they're similar.
they are. There's quite a bit of overlap, but you've got marketing, money, people, inventory, and deliverables. And those are true for every business, whether you're a solopreneur or you're running a Fortune 500 company. It's all the same 5 systems. And there's subsystems, of course. But if you use that as your structure, you just start building it out. Okay, well, what's the first thing you need to delegate or you could delegate? And now you document what your process for doing that is. You hand it off to someone, you see if it works for them, you meet afterwards, you adjust, you get input, you let go of the pieces that don't work for other people and that are just your quirks, and you improve it from there and then run with it. But I'm a solopreneur. I have a couple independent contractors that work for me on projects, but all of my procedures, even when it's just for myself, are documented because the money's in the lists, right? Whether it's your people list or your procedure list. And that way, if it's something you only do once a quarter or whatever, 3 months from now, you can glance back at your checklist and actually remember how to do it instead of trying to relearn it.
Yeah. And I just wrote a little note down here so I don't forget it. That's one of my little things here.
Excellent.
Yeah. So what are some of the tools that you use since I'm a techie geek and I like tools, and I think our audience might like to know some tools that would help that process along. Documenting procedures sounds boring, laborious,
It kind of is.
and difficult.
So it is boring. It is laborious. It's not difficult. It's actually really easy. And if you get your mindset straight that it's for future help, it's not, it will slow you down in the moment, but it's to save time later. It's the essentials that you need to get down, and it's the one thing that'll make it easier next time. I don't recommend tools because people use tools as a crutch instead of doing the actual work. And so, oh, well, I've just got Trello. I just got Asana. I just got, Basecamp, whatever your project management system is. That'll take care of it. But until you think through the process on paper first, what data are you entering into these things? So, you can noodle it out on the computer as well, but the tool doesn't matter. The process you go through is what matters. So list it out, try it out, adjust it out, and then have your final thing, and then review it regularly for changes and updates in whatever tool you are using to make sure you're keeping it as effective as possible.
Yeah, I use Notepad. I have throughout my day, I have a Notepad, Windows Notepad.
Right.
And I document things as I go. And I think that incremental, like you said, in the moment is the best way to do it. And it does take a little bit of time, but only the first time. But then you have a repeatable way of having the same result over and over. And that's something, once you have that, you could teach someone else to do it and eventually, hand it off. And then, you might have to review the work and make sure it's the way you want it, but that's one way to hand it off.
Yeah. And you can also, if you have an assistant, whether it's virtual or in person, you can use screen capture tools to do the training on video. And then you have the assistant look at the video and do the documenting for you. Yeah. That works really well too. So whether you have Loom or Capture in Dropbox or whatever the Google tool is for screen capture, I can never remember what it is.
Snagit.
Yeah, that one.
Love Snagit.
That's a great way to go as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you are savvy, you can use Loom, and Loom has a if you demonstrate how you're doing it, recording, and you can hit pause and hit go, hit pause, hit go, hit as you go through it. And it can actually transcribe what you did, and then you can hand that off to an assistant. And so there you have it. There you have exactly how you do it, plus a video that shows whoever you're training how to do it, how to get it done.
And it has the screen share, so you can toggle between
your face
tabs or programs on your screen.
Yeah.
Which is not all of the capture things allow you to do as much toggling or as many different views and the transcribing as Loom does. Loom also now just got bought by Eliciting, so it's with the same company that does Trello. So there's going to be an integration in the next few months that's a seamless integration with Trello if you have people that use Trello.
Yeah. Yeah, but starting out small and simple it's just a notepad and a piece of paper. Just take notes and it's
I
easy.
literally use a lined like 5x7 Post-it on my desk when I'm doing things, and I'm just jotting it down. And then I take that Post-it and I put it in the correct order in the computer right afterwards. So I can think through, what did I forget? What did I leave out? And then the next time I do it, I use the checklist and make sure I got it. So it goes through a couple iterations, but
Yeah.
it's so worth it.
Yeah, I call that the power of incremental action for those who are
Yes.
listening. That's a very powerful way to get things done while you're doing them. And people say, "Oh, I don't have time for that." But when will you have time for it?
So think about this, everybody. If you have 10 minutes that you are wasting every time because you're doing it yourself and someone else could be doing it, that's 2.5 days a year. And that's a very conservative estimate of how much time you're wasting doing it yourself. Last time I did a more realistic calculation, it's more like 2 hours a day, which is 6 weeks a year.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
a lot of time.
What could you do in 6 weeks? How much vacation? How much fun? Many more clients could you serve? Whatever way you want to go.
How much more money could you make, or how much more time could you spend with your family with 6 weeks, or even if it's 3 weeks?
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot of vacation time. So what's the trick to staying motivated through all this? That takes a lot of discipline and mind. You gotta be focused, and you gotta be thinking about the big picture.
Yeah. So again, it goes back to, what do you want? Why are you doing this? Why are you working? Why are you working at this particular thing in this particular business? What is it you get out of it? And if you know that, then all of your decisions based on what you're going to work on and when, how much money you're going to spend to get there, what kind of people you want to work to help you get there, all of those decisions are very easy because you know what you're going for. If you start with, I want to run a business and make money, that's not very juicy. I mean, it seems like it on the surface, but how much? In what way? What for? Like those deeper questions again. You got to do some examining of what that actually looks like for you. And that's the trick of motivation, is what are you working towards? What are you working for? What are you trying to create? That's where the psychological motivation comes from.
And since you're into systems, you probably have a system for eliciting that from people. What are some of, I know, tell us about that, because I want to know, because people want it. A lot of times they just don't really know what they want. They just either they're stuck on the process, or they're stuck in the technology, or they just don't really, they get down to I want to make more money, or I want to make $1 million a year, but they really don't know why. And they don't know how. For sure, they don't know how. But how do you pull that out of them?
Yeah, so I always start with the 5 why exercise. Simon Sinek uses it, but it's been out there for a long time. So, most of my clients come to me first originally because they're disorganized and they think they need help getting organized so they can do what they're doing. So I'm like, well, why do you want to get organized? Well, so I can find stuff. Okay, well, why do you want to find stuff? And we go through 5 levels of taking it deeper. And in the end, usually it's so they can feel confident and more in control because they know where their things are. So that, it becomes both the way to figure out your desired outcome, which provides motivation for everything you do after that. But it also is a process of self-discovery at the same time. So you may not know yet, but by answering the question in the right order, you will get there. Some people have an easier imagination than others. There are some people that just the way their brains process information has a hard time imagining the future. I don't think those particular people make the best entrepreneurs because they don't have that vision. But you can still get to a desired outcome, and live a satisfying and meaningful life with that knowledge. It's just a little bit different approach. But I find if you just get curious and start exploring, well, why do I like doing this? Why do I like these people? Why do I like these things? What is it? Are there common threads that provide my big picture wants, is what I call them? There's usually 10 to 13 things that people are really drawn to over and over throughout their life, whether it's, and they're similarly tied to values. They're slightly different in that they're more aspirational than a value. Value is just kind of basic and foundational, whereas the wants are aspirational. Exploring that thing can often get us to a great objective.
Yeah, knowing why you want to start doing something or stop doing something is super important.
Yeah.
Super important, especially if you want to change the trajectory of your life or your business. Knowing why you want to make that change is super important.
Yeah, you have to know why, and then you have to know a little bit about how the brain processes information and how transformation happens so you can develop the right habits. And I think people just think they should be able to do it and it should be instant, and it's not. Life and business and yoga and any form of mastery requires practice.
Yeah, and Napoleon Hill had a book called Think and Grow Rich,
Yeah.
and he taught in chapter, I think it's chapter 10. He talks about cosmic habit force,
Mhm.
and I don't know if you're familiar with that concept. I
Mhm.
named my coaching business Habit Force Coaching,
Right.
because if you can change your habits, you can change your life. You can change
Yes.
anything. So, what are some things that people can do to arm themselves and to change their habits so that they can get to that transformation you're talking about?
Yeah. Well, first you have to have that desired outcome so you know why you're changing the
Yeah.
habit, or adjusting the habit. Um, and then, you have to have the cue, you have to plan for obstacles, you have to practice it over and over, and you have to have a reward. The rewards can be all over the place. But you have to acknowledge there's been an attempt, completion, attainment, so that your brain gets trained to want to do more of that same kind of thing, not
Yeah.
sticking with the status quo and staying safe because eating that extra bag of potato chips didn't kill you in this
But
moment. It
yeah,
might in the future, but not now.
right. And I like to say that if you celebrate success along the way, that leads to much larger victories, and so
It
that
does.
that helps snowball your way towards your change that you're looking for.
Yeah, and I will say, it's a weird thing, and I'm not fully studied up on it yet, but observationally and in some literature, men just celebrate more regularly their wins than women do. So they'll
Yeah.
be like, high five, yeah, we did that. Or let's go grab a beer after work. Or let's go, you know, buy this thing to show that I got the raise or whatever. They just celebrate the little things more regularly and it's instantaneous. Whereas women are like, oh, it was no big deal. I don't need anything. I did it because I wanted to. We dismiss ourselves a lot, and that's not cool.
And
Everyone should
why
celebrate all the little things.
I noticed that. Why is that?
Um, it's society has taught us to be in the background and not draw attention to ourselves. So we don't celebrate in the same way. But I'm all for, have the dance party in the moment, jump up and down, say woohoo, high
Yeah, for
five it
sure.
like the guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how do we decide what to work on? There's so many things, so many things. I have so many things to do. How could I possibly figure out what to work on?
Well, always have that desired outcome in mind
Mhm.
and always ask yourself, what's the next best task for me to do? What's going to move the needle farthest or next best if you're waiting for something?
Yeah.
and what's going to make things easier for next time. The One Thing book was really powerful about that. What's the next thing? And
Yeah.
what's the best thing?
Nice. And so what are the difference between goals and objectives? We're kind of shifting gears here a little bit.
Goals and objectives are actually the same thing. They are the activities that get you to your desired outcome. And that's the part that you measure. So that's one of those, what we mentioned earlier about people not having imagination. They get very stuck on that goal. What's the goal? And the goals are the tasks involved in getting to the outcome.
Uh-oh. Bingo, bingo. That was my alarm.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
All right.
Bingo. Yeah. So what are some of the tips and techniques that you use for goal setting? I know I took a long time ago, I was very into Brian Tracy and his ultimate goal setting. So what are some of the things that you teach and that you rely on your go-tos for goal setting?
Yeah. So I start with the objective and then I break it down. What are all the things that would go in, or what are all the things I think will go into getting there? Because often the objective is big and hairy and we don't know everything yet.
Yeah, right.
So then I break it down into, some things I think about, and then those become my objectives and goals and tasks. Those are all kind of interchangeable. Often an objective or a goal has multiple tasks involved in it. But it's just the 3 layers. You have tasks to do that get you to your goals or objectives, which are the same thing. And they should be measurable and, smart or smarter, whichever version you use. And when those are complete, you should be at your objective. But the
Right.
objectives and goals need to be flexible enough that as you learn new things along the way, you can adjust.
Yeah. And do you have any daily rituals that you use that help you with your goals? I bet you do.
I do. I'm a big fan of action stacks. So I have a startup ritual. I turn on my computer, I glance at the calendar. I have a couple of my objectives and goals listed out. So I just kind of review them and get centered for the day. And then I use action stacks. So if it's Monday, I work on money stuff. And so I have a checklist of stuff that I do around money. If it's Tuesdays, it's marketing day. Wednesdays are writing days. Thursdays are outreach days and delivering my workshops and things. And then Fridays are measuring days. So I review and track and do all my strategic thinking and stuff. So I have kind of a checklist for each of those things. I also have checklists for like what I do every single day versus a certain day of the week versus which week of the month versus monthly tasks and quarterly tasks. So they all kind of layer in together. And then I try to not overload it so that there's a big chunk of at least 3 hours where I work on something deep, some deep work stuff.
Yeah. And how do you organize all that?
Right now I'm using Monday.com. I did Trello for years. You can do it in notes or it doesn't matter. Again, it's the tool. Yeah. It's more the understanding that there is a structure of daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly tasks that need to get done. And you need a certain amount of time to focus on something deep without interruption.
And when you structure, you have this, that's amazing what you're telling me. when you, I need that someday. See, someday.
Yeah. Someday.
Why do I need that?
Here. Wait for me.
Yeah. Why do I need it? Do you structure your life? Not you don't have just a business here. You've got a home and you've got a life and you've got a family and you've got. So how do you balance all that? And you work that into your structure?
It is worked into the structure. I'm not a believer in balance. I believe in aligning. What word? I go back and forth on what word I like to use. I like to align my fulfillment and my satisfaction. So if I didn't like my work, I wouldn't be doing this work. So my work energizes me, so I have the energy for my free time and my home life. And vice versa. If I work too much into my home life, I lose energy because I haven't switched gears and replenished in with my other hobbies and my other people. So I think of it as bringing it into alignment. So they all work towards my common objectives of living more freedom and curiosity in my life.
Right. And what is the freedom that you're looking for?
I want to have more time to read and watch TV, honestly. Go to museums, garden, go on some hikes. It's really simple freedom. I'm not a big traveler, but if I was, I'd work that in.
Yeah. And what is your favorite TV thing that you're into right now? I know you told me earlier.
Yeah, I watch a lot of TV. And I watch a lot of different kinds of TV, but I just I just finished watching Reacher last night, which
Oh,
was delightful in that, violent kick-ass kind of way, but
yeah.
I found it highly entertaining. And then before that I
Season two.
was yeah.
Season two, yeah. I have not
Season
finished season two yet. So don't tell me.
Actually I have like 20 minutes left of the
Oh,
last one because
yeah.
I got tired. But I will watch it tonight after this interview. Um And then before that, I watched Slow Horses, which was excellent.
Little horses?
Slow
Oh,
Horses.
slow
It's on
horses.
Apple
Is it about
TV.
horses?
No, it's about spies.
Oh, okay. That's unusual. So
Yeah.
you also do some organization tips for the
Mhm.
home. What are some of the things that we can share with our audience that they might go, wow, I hadn't thought of that. You
Yeah.
probably run into
So
that a lot.
I do.
Yeah, I know.
Um, so clutter is just unmade decisions.
Hmm.
And one of my favorite sayings is what I just said, that yeah, someday is here, wait for me, because you put so many things off that you can't participate in the thing you want to participate in because you got to do the things you put off. So that's a big one. Like, stop putting it off, just do it or let it go. So much of what's going on in people's homes as well as their work, it's just busy work. There's no need to do that. There's no need for that particular report. There's no need to, stain fight your laundry if you could just throw it in with a detergent that actually works. What can you eliminate from your life at home so it's simpler? And mostly we just have too much stuff.
Yeah.
The more stuff we have, the more you have to keep track of, the more energy that takes. Even if you don't think it's a big deal, it is taking background energy in your brain and it just takes away from getting to your desired outcomes. There's so much stuff in our houses that doesn't serve us. So look at it from the perspective of, how is this serving me and getting me to my desired outcomes?
Yeah, and I um, was in charge of my mom's estate. She passed away in 2016 at 90 years old. Had lived a wonderful life, but she grew up in the 40s,
Mm-hmm.
and she saved everything.
Mm-hmm. And it
She
has
had
nothing to do with living through the Depression because the 40s was after the Depression,
right,
by the way.
but she lived well. She grew up in poverty. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Yeah.
But she
But
she she was a doctor. She's a woman doctor,
Mhm.
graduated in the 40s. But she had bags of bags,
Yeah.
bags of plastic bags.
Yeah.
And it took us forever to go
Yeah.
through that. So think about that for your family too. You know, I like to purge every time I move,
Hmm.
but it's time to purge again. It's always
Yeah.
time.
And there's always editing to do. I don't like the word purge. I call
Yeah.
it editing,
Editing? Okay.
to set up a new nurturing and supportive environment to do your work and live your life. And so what is necessary for that? I'm also a big fan of what is essential for doing the work or living the life, and then add only enough things into it that make that work and that life delightful. That doesn't mean owning everything. It means owning the best things for you right now at this point in your life.
That's a good philosophy.
Yeah, it seems to work pretty well.
Awesome. So we're almost out of time, but what else would you like our listeners to know about organization and getting this clutter out of their business and out of their lives?
So, in addition to being an energy zapper, it costs money. Everything you are storing, especially if you are renting a storage unit or bought a bigger house to fit more stuff or put a custom closet in a different room, all these things cost money. And it might not seem like that much, but it adds up. And that money could go to doing something you'd enjoy more, or helping people in a different way. So that's where that intersection of productivity and stuff and money comes together, right? The more things you have to take care of, the more busy work you're doing. Do you want to dust it for the rest of its life? When you buy something new, ask yourself that question. Is this something I'm willing to take care of for the rest of its life? If the answer is no, you don't need to own it. And you can appreciate things and leave them at the store. You can say, oh, that's a beautiful blouse. I don't need it.
That's good. And you mentioned money, and we didn't really talk too much about money, but what
Yeah.
about making money in our mindset? And what are some of the things that we should be thinking about? And
Yeah.
I know we
So
don't have an hour, so
I'll keep it brief.
yeah, I know you will.
So if we think about all of these things being interconnected,
Mhm.
if you have an abundant mindset, you mentioned Think and Grow Rich. If it's about abundance, it's about there will be more. The pie gets bigger, there will be more. The thing you need will always be available when you need it, or an alternative will present itself.
Mhm.
So there's no need to hold on to things just in case. There's no need to keep it because I might need it someday. If you can imagine what that day looks like, I mean, is it Tuesday? Is it raining? Are you wearing a green shirt? What is that day that you need this particular item? What is happening? If you can't imagine what that is, you don't need it. If you don't know what the item is, you don't need it, right? So if you don't need it because something will be available, it's much easier to not bring it in the first place. And it's much easier to let go of the stuff in your way, which can save you so much money because when you aren't buying duplicates, when you aren't overlooking the bills and accumulating late fees, when you are not buying another thing because you can't find the thing you had, you save money. I save my clients on average $400 a month.
Wow, tell me more.
It's actually eating the food in your pantry that you
Yeah.
already bought. It's actually not buying more clothes because your seasonal clothes were stored in the garage and you forgot that you already bought the extra set of long underwear on sale at the winter sale last year. It's in the wrong place and then you got to get ready. It's parking your car in the garage so the paint job doesn't oxidize. It's having just what you need when you need it and the freedom to take on another client because you could make some more money. But it's mostly spending money on the little shit. Excuse me, I didn't ask if I could cuss.
I'll let it slide this time.
It's the little stuff. What
Yeah.
is the little stuff that ends up in your cart because you don't have a list and you don't have a good rotation system when you go shopping for your stuff at Costco or Walgreens, what all those
Yeah.
little things factor into the money.
Yeah, my wife and I spent a couple of hours yesterday, and I cooked up the chili, and she cooked up the uh, the roast that we had tonight for dinner.
Nice.
It was supposed to be on Sunday, but we have meals that we can
Yeah.
eat. We don't have to go out. We don't have to stop at the store. We
Mm-hmm.
can eat those things. So
Yeah.
that's a good way to do it. I mean, just make some things that you can freeze, and that'll save you money.
Well, also, I love going out to eat. And
Me
it's
too.
not always about the money. But if you are buying food, you are eating better. And then when you go out, it's more of a treat.
Hmm.
Instead of running through the drive-through because it's faster, it's not. It's faster to take the soup out of the freezer or out of the can and make it at home. It takes way less time than driving through the drive-through. So
Better for you too, especially if you're
yes.
cooking with, good ingredients.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as we wrap up with your final words with our little interview here, what are three things our listeners and viewers can do to put these ideas into action? There's so many of them that we talked about.
I know. Which one to start with? The most important one is figuring out your desired outcome.
Yeah.
Why are you here? What are you doing? Why are you doing this work? Why are you living this way? And change happens from there.
Okay.
And then, okay, you wanted three. Sorry. I just
That's
got,
one. That's a big one. That could be three.
I know. It's a big one. So there's that, and start looking for opportunities to make things easier for next time. Not easier this time, but easier for next time.
Mm.
So if returning the thing to where it lives makes it easier to find, if it's writing up a checklist to how to do the tasks next time or delegate it, that's a big one. And third, start looking for yourself in your stuff. So as you declutter or look around your living room while you're waiting for a commercial or waiting for the popcorn to pop, what is it that's in your way? And could you let it go?
Excellent.
And
That's great advice there.
yeah.
And so you need to be intentional about this. And
Yeah.
I would add that you should take action, even if it's a little teeny tiny action today,
Mhm.
just to get the ball rolling. And once you get the ball rolling, you can keep it rolling.
Yeah. I mean, little things like actually throw the pen that doesn't work in the trash instead of putting it back in the pen cup and becoming aware how often things like that happen.
I have a whole thing of pens next to me,
Mhm.
and they came from my brother's house. And that's probably what he did. And I have them now. And I
And you
should
didn't
probably,
test them before you brought them into your house.
no, where am I going to put them? I put them right here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, test it and like 2/3 of them might go away.
I know. I love that. So,
Yeah.
you have a special gift for those who've stayed this long, the 1 minute mail solution. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. And it works for email too.
Yeah,
Because again, what I was talking about with the tool, people will be like, well, I only use email now. Everybody gets mail.
yeah.
But it's not just mail, it's about the information that comes into our lives. And we're overwhelmed with more information in the average day than would occur to me as a kid in 10 years. I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't know what the actual stat is, but it's off the charts.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's a way of processing information. There's only 5 things you can do with paper, and it walks you through that whole process. And it can be information that's coming in through the computer. But if you pick up flyers, if you jot down a note, if you have kids that bring paperwork home from school, all that stuff, you do not have no paper in your life.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's deciding what to do with each piece of paper and setting up a very simple system so that it doesn't become clutter.
Yeah. And so you can get that at morethanorganized.net forward
Mhm.
slash 1 minute, 1 minute mail,
Yep.
right? That's
Spelled out ONE
ONE,
minute.
minute mail. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it said minute email, but it says minute mail. So
Yeah.
morethanorganized.net forward slash 1 minute mail.
Correct.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Miriam. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's been
Yeah.
nice getting to know you and talking about getting organized and all the little nuances there. I'm sure there's a lot deeper that we can go, isn't it?
Always is. I'm always learning new stuff because I'm curious, and that's one of my now I'm mixed up. One of my outcomes is I want to stay curious. So
Oh,
um
that's a great one.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you. And remember, faith and action go hand in hand. So keep the pedal to the metal. Until next time on the Lead Machine Growth Show, I'm Paul Guyon, your host, and Miriam Ortiz y Pino. Miriam Ortiz y Pino. There we go.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in to the Lead Machine Growth Show with Paul Guyon, where we show you how to tackle your tech, master your message, and design your dream so that you can transform your vision into reality. Remember to visit our website at www.leadmachinegrowthshow.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Lead Machine Growth Show.